We got Louie C.K. in the studio. April 23rd, the Borgata Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. That's a great gig for Louie, and man, you should go see him. Obviously, I saw Louie. Yeah. Oh, we talked about it the last time you were in at Carnegie Hall. Yeah. What an amazing show!
Thanks, man.
Just an amazing show. Yeah, it's perfect for
such a cool.
Perfect for it.
It's the only place in Atlantic City that's.
It really is like Vegas, kind of. That it's got that Vegas vibe. It doesn't feel like I stayed in another hotel right on the boardwalk once, and it felt like I stepped into the 70s.
And it feels like you're in Atlantic City.
Yeah, you know you're in Atlantic City.
Right. The Borgata could trick you into thinking, man, I took a fucking flight to Vegas.
I went to Vegas.
That's exactly the difference, yeah.
There's some old diner waitress bringing the drinks at this other casino, bringing the drinks to the table, and you're just like, and then you look at the Borgata babes and shit walking around, they're just stunning.
No, the other Atlantic City places, it's like you're faced with the economy you're hurting with everything you do. There's supposed to be more of a buffer there.
Yeah.
Where you can get lost in it. But Atlantic City, the dealer looks at you like, thanks for fucking up my hometown, asshole. Would you like another card? Like they just look depressed.
God damn, that is it.
You know?
Yeah.
My father owned a house, and now I live in a fucking shack.
Right.
So that you could play blackjack.
I hope you're having fun.
Yeah.
Oh, look, blackjack.
I would hit on that, yes.
You so see the corruption. All you have to do is just drive around a little bit, less than a mile from those beautiful casinos, and you realize they don't give a fuck about the local economy.
No, it's all being sucked out.
It's like,
I don't know where that money's going.
It's another kind of tick, but it's a remote. It's like it doesn't even spread nearby.
No.
It's like a scientific taking money. It's like a tick that has a long distance sucker.
Yeah. They must have helicopters at night that literally lift it
the money
up into the sky.
To make sure it does not touch
the local economy.
Anybody
and
there.
The politicians, they obviously just look the other way.
Yeah.
It's like you're not even going to throw $1 into the economy?
No.
Who are you talking about?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Yeah, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
What are you trying to say?
Who you're saying is doing this?
What? You're right.
Yeah, exactly.
We're already in a weird spot with Donald Rumsfeld.
I bet he knows where that money goes.
You know what? I think Atlantic City's beautiful. Every inch of it is beautiful.
The Borgata.
No,
it's fantastic. Go see Louie.
Jobs. They got jobs.
They got jobs everywhere.
Jobs.
How many people they employ?
Jobs.
There weren't those jobs when it was before the casinos. I don't know.
There was just a really kind of a nice area.
Steel Pier. What the hell happened?
Where someone could actually open a store and try to have a business instead of a job. But now they got jobs. They get to wear a vest and deal cards to fucking assholes and Gaddafis.
Yeah, Gaddafi.
They get to fucking
great. Jobs.
You mean people used to open up their own family business down there?
Yeah.
Like bakery or delicatessen.
Yeah, wherever the fucking wherever the Trump down there is. Does he have one down there?
Oh, he's got the Taj
Trump
and the Marina. I don't know how much.
Yeah, Trump Marina is sitting where some guy used to have an old fish restaurant. He had the restaurant from 1850 in his family, and now it's a fucking Trump Marina hotel.
It's right there on the water.
I worked that fucking place. Or is it Trump Castle it was called? I don't know where that is now.
I think they changed the name at some point.
I worked at Trump Castle, and I remember just watching people. I had never really been down there before, and I'm just watching these fucking old ladies from around the country come on buses. Like from the middle of Ohio or Kentucky, literally. Like you see a bus that says like Lexington, Kentucky. And they and these fucking old women come out of the bus, and they took a medical hit from the trip. Like you just see them, and they get out of these fucking buses they were in for hours, days.
Yeah, blood just clotting in their legs.
Helping the 60-year-olds helping the 70-year-olds off the bus, and they go get shit rooms.
Yeah,
and then they pour buckets of fucking coins. All of their fucking retirement, all they got left, they just pour it in buckets into these machines. And then they leave. And then so I'm watching all this, and it all says Trump all over it. And then I was in an elevator, and Trump got on with Marla Maples at the time.
Yeah, okay.
And everyone was like, oh, there they are. They were really excited. They saw them. Oh my God, there's Trump and the woman he's fucking illicitly. And they get on the elevator, and Trump looked miserable. I was in the elevator alone with him just by chance, and he just looked miserable. He looked so unhappy.
Yeah.
And all that money, I realized is a weird, like, he has all this billions of dollars, but he's fucking miserable because he needs 100 billion to look in the mirror and not want to kill himself. He needs that. These old ladies from Kentucky, they don't need anything. They have like maybe $1,000 in the bank.
Right.
It's like they're coming. It's like a religion. Like they're coming to help him feel better. Like they're coming to give him money.
Giving him the money.
He's like, I have $100 billion and I don't fuck everybody. It's not enough. And these old ladies are like, I have maybe 1,000. You can have all of it.
I'll give you all of it.
I'll take a bus all day to give it to you.
We could have pumped it into our own economy where we live.
Yeah, I could have given it to my neighbor's store that closed last week.
But I figured I'd come all this way just to dump it into
Hopefully
this
make
machine.
you a little happier.
Yeah.
That's clever.
With the only buffer being this vague hope that I might leave
that I
with
may be
more,
one of the trillions.
But it ain't gonna happen. So we'll just pour money out.
I want to know more about the family fish business. The little restaurant
that
was
poor
there.
guy.
Forget that.
With his little boat. He would
Maybe a
just
little
go
bait
out
shop
every day.
Bait shop on the pier.
No,
Oh,
he
bait
used
shop.
to wipe off the table when you walked in, and he'd feel
nice,
real proud.
right?
Yeah.
Nice.
You'd smell like the ocean air. It was open windows in the summer.
What was his
Yeah.
last day like, you think?
Wrecking ball.
A bunch of suits
A
and
wrecking ball
ties.
with the whole family just
No.
outside crying.
Yeah, and
You
now in
see-
that exact same spot, it's ring, ding, 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 ding.
Oh God, that's all you did. It was Donald Trump and a bunch of other guys in suits with golden shovels taking that photo of them breaking ground, and in back is the boarded up fish place just ready to be plowed asunder.
That was there for 150 years.
You know, and it's not the fault of some corporations or Donald Trump. It's like Walmart kills all small
the
town
small
economies.
businesses.
But it's not Walmart's fault. It's the fault of the fucking people. I used to have a house in upstate New York, and there was a town that had these beautiful old diners and general stores, and they all closed one by one because of Walmart. But it wasn't fucking Walmart's fault. It was the people that lived in that town that don't give a shit about their neighbors.
But is it giving a
It's
shit?
the American basic consumer who's like, well, okay, I could spend 13 cents less on a mop.
Yeah.
So fuck my fucking neighbor. Fuck my neighbor who's had that store in his family for, who's taken care. There's like a million George Bailey moments in that town's history where the whole, I'll give a check to your, baseball teams with names, John's General Store.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the whole community coming together to do stuff.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I want to buy a Jim Carrey movie 3-pack for $7. So fuck the old movie theater with a Wurlitzer organ.
But think of Blockbuster Video. Now that caused a big thing because it pretty much closed down all the little mom and pop video stores.
Which was a great family business.
Which was a family business and shit like that. I remember those things and having to go in and you'd have to buy a membership fee when you first get in. When it was like $100,
and that was just to try to keep the stores.
Yeah, to keep the
alive.
store open. But then Blockbuster came around. Now, what do you want to do? Go into the mom and pop and wait a week for the latest release?
Yeah, why don't you? Why don't
Because
you fucking
I want
wait
it
a little
now.
bit?
I want it
So
now.
fuck the family that opened that store.
Yeah.
And by the way, fuck them that they used to think about what movies you might like. That you might walk in and they go, Anthony, you like comedies.
Anthony, we got a whole section for you.
Do you even know
Remember
who
that conversation
Francois
we had?
Tati
Right,
is?
right,
And they'd
right,
show you something that we went and found this. Blockbuster would never do that for you. Fuck them.
I agree with both of you, but
so that you can
the local,
save a little bit of fucking money.
The local place that Ann's talking about, you had to wait for some asshole to bring back the nice new movie.
It's out. You'd be like, it's out. It's like, what?
When is it coming back? I want to watch that fucking thing.
Again,
and then Blockbuster
fuck
said,
the
fuck
ability.
that. The Blockbuster said, look, we could just put 100 copies on the shelf.
So you're thinking the whole loyalty thing should outweigh the convenience?
Absolutely, because you're supporting somebody who is, there's a human being and a family who's living off that business, and they give a shit about you.
But
by the way, where's Blockbuster? It's fucking gone. So they leave a vacuum. You can't rent a
delivery
fucking video anymore.
Yeah, but why would you? Digital delivery.
If there was video stores, you know why? It's like bookstores. A bookstore is not
They're
just
going
a
away
place
too, man.
where you can buy books. It's a place where somebody expresses themselves by deciding what books to put out there and what books they want to offer their community.
Right.
And that gets replaced by Barnes & Nobles, which means you get the same fucking books that every place in the world gets. I mean, not just America.
Right.
Every bookstore has exactly the same books now. I mean, that's people don't realize what a massive. It used to be. You go to that bookstore, you're going to get some weird off-color books of this kind, or you're going to get maybe a right-wing bookstore, a left-wing bookstore. That used to be how people fucking. And then so Barnes & Noble's comes, and the difference is a family business will hang on through the tough years if they have half a chance.
Yeah.
But a corporate business will go, we're not making it $10 trillion, just pull up stakes. And they're gone. So now there's no more fucking bookstores.
That's fucking amazing.
Or video stores. Yeah.
No bookstores, no video stores.
Right. The big Barnes & Noble on the Upper West.
But because those are predatory businesses.
Given your thinking, though, wouldn't we never progress? Like,
who's progressing? That's the.
Well,
that's
I mean, with everything. Like, wouldn't we not look at the automotive business, which is horrible now, of course, because of the outsourcing and everything. But early on, there were guys working those lines. What about the technology to come in and use robots that did eliminate jobs, but it makes the car better and faster and
that's exactly the thing. These things like bookstores and video stores, though, they weren't improved. They were destroyed. And a book is not a car. It's not a product that needs to be perfected like a technology. It's about having a way of life.
But now you just download it on Kindle.
Yeah. No, exactly. But it's rubbed out getting out of your house and going to a bookstore and meeting the bookstore guy and other people. You used to get fucking laid by going to bookstores. A way that people used to get laid is by going to a bookstore and standing in a section that makes you look smart. And then a chick comes around.
Yeah.
Oh, do you also like this book?
Oh, sure. I'm perusing this.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore. When I grew up in Boston, and there was a place in Harvard Square called the Coffee Connection. And this was a place that was obsessed with coffee, and they had coffees from all around the world, and they'd have stuff like you'd get like a cappuccino, and they'd shave chocolate onto it, not like a canister of chocolate powder.
It took time. I mean,
they had a cheese grater and a block of chocolate, and they'd shred chocolate onto the fucking thing for you. That's like how good it was.
You sound like my grandfather. Grandfather talking to me. You don't even understand the old days.
I know the point he's about to make.
You'd go to the fucking Coffee Connection, and you'd sit there like trembling, and they'd bring you this thing that would just change your life. Or they go, hey, you want to try Turkish? We have a new Turkish coffee today. It's a weird thing.
Sounds good.
Never tried it. So then Starbucks opens down the street, but this Coffee Connection hangs on. So Starbucks opens another one, like on the other side of them. Starbucks isn't doing so great that they can open another one. They're just trying to fucking kill.
Oh, shit.
So they open like 5 within a block of the place until Coffee Connection goes, this is getting hard. And they sell themselves. They go, let's just be a Starbucks.
Yeah.
So then Starbucks buys them and then closes the other ones, and then you're just left with fucking just one choice. You get Starbucks.
And the quality of Starbucks is horrible.
It's okay. And the instant Starbucks is making a profit, they'll give up, and then there won't be a fucking place to even get coffee.
Right. Then we go back to having no coffee again.
No coffee.
He's right.
So
I remember the lumber stores. I remember we did a lot of renovation on our old house because we had 7 kids, small house, and we were constantly adding rooms and this and that.
Mom and Pop lumber shop.
Mom and Pop.
Yeah,
I would get in the car with my dad. I remember like it was yesterday. We'd go to the local lumber guy. He knew my dad's first name. We got this for you. We made your pile. It's
putting
all
a dormer
set.
on the house, are you?
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna need some of that. No, I'll come over here. I'll help you out. You need that for the joists.
But it was a social thing too, man. How are the kids?
Lumber
and how are your
were
kids?
Very social.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, the Home Depot, it's a fucking massive warehouse and no one wants to fucking help you.
You're just mad right when you walk in.
Sad people working there.
Right.
Yeah. The buying of the lumber is not a happy exchange. It used to be that you could say to yourself, you know what, if I invest in a good saw, and I get some trucks, I could go out and get some fucking poplar and cut it well, and people will come here and build fucking houses with it.
Yeah.
And you go, hey, you got some nice poplar, not as good as Joe Wilson's. Yeah, well, mine is down 3 cents.
Right.
Well, I'll buy yours then. This was, and by the way, we don't improve through this shit.
No.
We actually don't. It's like, it's what happens is the second place product always wins by being more vicious like Microsoft versus Apple.
Right.
Microsoft is bullshit software. It's hard compared to Apple.
I know, believe me.
It's horrible, but Bill Gates is a capitalist, and he was vicious, and he fought Apple, and so for some years anyway.
Yeah.
America lived on shitty computer technology because of his
There was a point
ambition.
where we all thought Apple was gone.
Yeah, it's VHS versus Beta. Beta is still used today.
Yeah.
Beta videotape is still what most TV shows are shot on.
Yeah.
And we all watched VHS tapes because the VHS people said, we make the second best, so we're going to be cutthroat and fucked up and pay off people and go to litigation and like sue Beta. And Beta's like, we're making the best kind. We can't even get people to buy it.
Yeah.
And so everyone gets VHS.
Unbelievable.
It's Tesla and fucking Edison. It's
Edison
always
and Tesla, yeah.
One guy's a genius and is selling a beautiful thing. The second place guy copies it, doesn't do it as well,
and then
takes him to court in every fucking state in America and muscles him and fights him and outdraws
his
him.
credibility.
Gets some fucking Texan to pay for it. And then we all have to buy the shitty product.
You're fucking brilliant.
It's true. It's the same with cars. They would be better if what you're saying was actually true.
If it was like the guys still on the assembly line.
But your coffee story is deeply depressing.
It is. What happens everywhere.
I was thinking, as you were talking about that, like the Starbucks popping up are like weeds.
Yes.
Taking out the really nice fucking crop.
Yeah,
nice
that's
flowers.
what they do.
They're just putting weeds all over the place to destroy it.
That's right. And they don't even make money. Like Harvard Square is a good example.
I love Harvard Square. It's been a while, but
you won't love it next time you go.
It's been years.
There used to be a place called the Tasty and like the Verst House, all these places that have been there from the 1900s. It's a Sunglass Hut and an Abercrombie and Fitch now.
Jesus.
And I was talking to one of the local business guys who owns a cigar store. He's like the last guy left.
Look at you.
No, I'm
talking
this
to
shit
the
fascinates
local
me.
businessman.
I asked him, "Are you going to go under too?" And he said, you know what? Because he went to Harvard Business School and then he opened his little cigar
business.
store.
Oh God.
He said Abercrombie and Fitch and Harvard Square doesn't even make a profit. They lose money every day. They're not that store. The rent is so high for what they built there that they can't. If they could sell jeans all day, they're not going to make a profit. They're not there to make a profit. It's just a billboard. It's a 3D billboard. It's there so that you'll buy Abercrombie online and to keep it visible
in your mind, in your head. Yeah,
that's fascinating.
There's like the Nike store on 50th or what. All those stores, they don't make a fucking dime. They lose money every day.
It's worth having a giant
global
billboard. It's like a billboard.
Yeah.
That you walk into.
That's how far away this is from like.
Mom and
guy
pop
has an idea,
right?
Puts it out there.
I love this.
Folks love it, and they start buying it. It's not even.
Wow.
We're not even close to that anymore.
No. Like, I'm nostalgic for the guy who started Wendy's. Like, that's now like a great American. He's like a revolutionary.
A great American story.
Yeah.
Or Ray Kroc from McDonald's.
Yeah, he's like Che Guevara or whatever his name is. Like, he's like, a great man.
They're sort of making a comeback, but remember just the local burger joint was cool.
Are they making a comeback?
A little bit. You see more burger joints popping up. Maybe they're a part of a whole corporate thing, but they.
Well, like in New York, there's Five Guy Burgers here.
Right. But when we were growing up, every town had its local burger guy, and they bragged about their burger, and it was better than the guy's burger from the next town over, and then you watch those slowly. The one in Huntington, the Choo Choo hamburger place,
right.
And their thing was, well, we'll bring your burger on a nice fucking train right in front of you.
Right.
Oh, here comes my order.
Train.
You see it fucking rock in the restaurant.
Yeah.
It comes around and stops at your counter spot.
Well, that's what it used to be
thing,
like when things were more spread out, that everyone had to have their own idea of here's why you want to come here.
And then I think
instead of like, if you come here, it doesn't matter because we're across the street too.
Right.
Fuck you, just eat this shit. You think it's going to get better once these big companies take over? The product goes down.
What do you
they don't
think
have
about
to compete anymore?
like online purchasing? Then you must do a lot of that, though.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
No, I think that's probably the next version of it, is that you can throw together a little product and sell it online.
And just be the mom and pop online
thing.
thing.
You don't need a store anymore.
And then someone will figure out how to fuck that over.
Yeah, but you can't, because it's not real estate. You can't take over. You can't push somebody off the internet.
Yeah.
They'll always be there.
That's true, but you can be the better online.
Yeah, they'll make you
the bigger and.
They'll make you have the website with .org.
Yeah, they'll give you a dot something that no one does. But if you're like a mom and pop thing and you're selling, let's say, electronics, you'd be like, oh, great, they don't have that. let me go to Best Buy's website.
No, that's absolutely true. That's hard.
Yeah.
Hard to sell.
Yeah.
Just to add to the discussion, I used to be a big music store guy, and every music store was a little different. And this guy, if you got to know him, he's like, I got some fucking bootlegs you might want to see.
That's right.
And it's completely illegal, and we know it, but I've seen you in this place enough times that I know you're not a rat, so why don't you follow me?
Well, that's
Remember
exactly
that
it. Guys like Iggy Pop. Iggy Pop becoming popular was a good thing, I think, for America. It's a good thing for the American voice that guys like that would. But the reason he came up was because certain record stores would go, I'm fucking digging Iggy Pop, and I'm going to sort of take a gamble that my customers will like him.
Right.
So they'd order, like, give me 10 Iggy Pop, 12 inches, and they'd put them out there.
Right.
And the kid with the leather jacket, who the fuck is this guy?
Right.
Hey, try him out, kid. You, all right, old man, fuck you, And he'd try Iggy Pop, and he'd go, holy motherfucking shit. And all of a sudden, Iggy Pop is flying off the shelves.
When I was growing
up.
up.
Now, if you're not on fucking iTunes, the whole country has to make one decision of who we like. There's no sort of local guy.
God,
that's a massive difference in how the culture grows.
I just loved, when I was growing up, I would go to the Village and all those underground record stores. I would spend all afternoon there, and every place had something a little different.
So what is this
and
do?
bootleg, like, concert shirts and...
Like, what's the bottom line of what this does to society?
No one even has, even young people don't even consider the idea that it's a good idea to be out in the fringe, which is where good ideas come from.
Yeah.
Like, people are almost, like, begging the government to take over and the corporations to take over your life. Like, people are excited that when you take a picture of yourself on your phone and put it online, it says where the fuck you were. Why are people excited about that?
Yeah, what is that?
Like, I remember when Easy Pass first happened.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, I don't want everybody knowing when I went to the Lincoln Tunnel. Like, what are you, fucking carrying secret documents? Who the fuck gives a shit about you? Right. But people used to think that way.
Right.
Cameras in Central Park for crime? Yeah, but what about my privacy? But now people are like, guess what? If I take a picture and send it to somebody, the whole world knows exactly where I was.
Where I was at that
and
given
I can
moment.
store all of everything I have on a computer in North Carolina. And I don't even have to... And they get to have all my stuff. And Facebook knows who all my friends are and what I've said to all of them. Every single fucking conversation I've ever had is a public record in the fucking Library of Congress. Yay! Cool!
That is fucked up.
Isn't that cool?
And we worried about Easy Pass a mere 3 years
no,
ago.
people are excited.
3 years ago, right.
Everything you tell somebody, I think I might be pregnant, it's in the Library of Congress now.
It's forever.
Cool! And there's a fucking geotag on it saying where you were standing when you fucking said it. A fucking coordinate.
Yeah.
A global coordinate.
Of
where you were standing
and longitude.
Why do people? Why would you want
you said that?
But we didn't want to
took a picture.
But we didn't want to use Easy Pass 3 years ago.
Yeah,
that is really
it's
fucked
sick.
up. It is really fucked up.
You have to belong to a fucking club to listen to a song. You have to have a credit card to, like, listen to a song. You can't go buy a record and play it. You have to, if you fucking lose your credibility and your iTunes account gets suspended, you can't play any of your music on anything.
You're done.
You can't listen now where it's on satellite radio. You have to subscribe
Yes.
to listen to the radio. Like, the only way to listen to music without being a credible American citizen with a credit card and belonging to a corporation, the only way you can fucking whistle. That's about the only way.
That's how you're going to hear the song.
That's the only
whistling to yourself.
The only time you can, unless you want to join some.
Yeah, because there are a lot of the music stores don't even carry fucking. There's no music stores.
There's no music stores. You got to go to Best Buy,
and they got their CD section, which is dying out. It's being pushed.
Yeah, and
it's just
away. And it's just a reflection of what's on iTunes.
Yeah,
and what's
you don't
on,
have,
Amazon.
Nothing.
You don't have a guy taking care of that section, so it's all just kind of willy nilly.
You're not finding something new and eclectic.
No,
the problem
there.
And the problem is what Louie is getting at is with corporate America. Only a few of the people in corporate America actually make the money. Then everyone else is just slaves to that fucking corporation.
And they're not even American. I mean, it's all offshore. All the companies are unaccountable, and they're offshore. And most of them are foreign-owned anyway.
Yeah.
Go with the Tower Records. Each Tower Records probably was easily 10 mom-and-pop record stores.
Yep.
And those guys were actually making a real living. And now, like you said about Atlantic City, Tower Records moves in, and now you used to make a living. Now you're just working for that schmuck.
Yep. And then
Making a
Tower
lot
Records
less.
is gone.
Tower's
so they
gone.
leave a vacuum. It's not
Right.
even this idea that everybody's like, yeah, but come on, but this is good for what?
The convenience is nice.
It's like a locust.
Benefiting?
They just come in, eat it all, and then they're gone, and nothing's left.
And
No,
Starbucks-
I know, but still, it's if we didn't do that,
Progress.
you wouldn't have the thing that
Wouldn't have the polio vaccine.
the cars run worse than they did in the 70s.
And I could go
You
back.
need a computer to fix one.
Yeah, you can't work on your car.
No.
That's true too. You cannot pop the hood on your fucking car
No.
and work on it.
Fool around a little bit.
I remember
Yeah.
if your car stalled, you would ease over to the shoulder and you
Tinker.
lift the hood.
Yeah,
and
tinker.
you
Fuck
look.
around with it.
And you'd
Exactly
be like,
right.
all right, I know enough about the distributor. I think this
Yeah.
is something. I think maybe.
See if that's tight.
Yeah, I think
Jiggle
that's
this a little
my
bit.
points. My
I'm gonna
points
jiggle
are
this
touching.
cord, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna gap it with a matchbook cover. That'll get me
actually
home.
do that.
That'll get me home. It'll run a little fucked up, but that'll get me home. Yeah, you
If
could
you knew
do
where the
that.
fuel pump was, you could jiggle it a little bit.
Yeah,
You could
give it a little
throttle.
knock.
Now-
If you car didn't start, you'd hit the starter a little bit, and then brrr,
I had a
start up.
68 Mustang, and I used to fix it. I worked in a garage when I was younger, and I used to fix it. So I like the fuel pump would go, like the fuel pump that was in there since 1968 died in like 1993. And then I put in a new fuel pump, and that fuel pump died in 1995. And I went through 3 fuel pumps on that car. Same every part of it.
Ah,
The
shit.
starter that this car was that was put in by some fucking heavy Michigan hands in 1968 when I was 1 year old. Some fucking guy with a cigarette dangling put that starter in.
Yeah.
And then went to a very beautiful home in Flint, Michigan, which is now
yes.
a fucking crack house. He's been dead for years.
His white picket fence. His
Yes.
wife was waiting for him to come home.
And then finally that starter that he fucking personally tightened every part of finally just went, I can't do it anymore, and died in 1994.
Yeah.
And then I took it out, and it was heavy, and it was beautiful. It was like a piece of art. And then I put it in with this, I put in this thing I got at a parts store. And I asked them, I said, give me the best starter that available. And they gave me this starter, and the metal it was made out of is some weird composite. You could see like Coke can pieces in it. And I put it in to weigh anything, and I stuck it in, and it lasted like 6 months.
Yeah.
And it just, bang, just came apart.
When you used to
That's
drop
progress.
the starter motor, it was like when you pulled those bolts out.
Yeah.
It was heavy.
Yep.
And then the new one, you hold it up with one arm as
Yeah.
you're threading the fucking bolt.
Look at
Nothing,
the
you're right.
Look at the picture Danny just found. You can't work on that engine. You can't
That's
work
what you
on
see
that
now.
engine, right?
Yeah.
Just a big block with a logo on it.
Right.
That's it.
That's a Cadillac.
It looks
Powered
like
by Cadillac.
It looks like it just all melted together. You can't get at it.
It's
No,
all
you
just
can't.
cowling that they put on so you dare not even look
No.
and see what's under there. You can't work on it because it's all computerized.
Now, if your car
You
breaks
got to hook
down,
a computer up to it in a
Yeah.
corporate place.
if it breaks down, you're lucky enough to get out of your own car.
Yeah.
Might not
Exactly.
even
Lucky
get
you
out
out.
of it.
Right. You'd be lucky if you could at least leave the car.
Yeah.
Holy
I keep
shit.
going back to the coffee thing because I was a big coffee guy as well.
Yeah.
And when Starbucks did hit, it made it convenient that there were more nice coffee places around because you really had to search them out like you're talking about.
Right.
And I didn't live anywhere near Harvard Square, so a Starbucks was like nice instead of shitty diner coffee.
Right.
But then Starbucks didn't care about their product in the end. At
No.
first, the coffee was amazing.
Yeah, it's
but
'cause
you've
they
watched
had
it
to
drop
compete.
over the years.
Yeah, they had to.
They had to compete.
Now you know the beans they're getting have to be just shitty.
Of course they are.
They have to be. It's
They're
just-
not going
there's
to
just
work
too many
hard for your money.
Why would they?
They've got
I
it.
explained
At
this
first,
shit
they
to my-
needed your money, so they worked hard for it.
Exactly. I explain this shit to my kids all the time because we'll go off the beaten path. We'll go 3 blocks over and spend 40 more cents. That what are we doing with this precious money? That people are like, well, I'm saving so that I can buy some fucking video game, have a video game experience for 10 seconds that evaporates from my existence later. What are we saving the money for? But we go a few blocks over, spend a few more cents to go to like a butcher.
Yeah.
Instead of going to,
that.
Price Chopper, we go to a fucking New York City butcher.
Yeah.
Where the guy's got a red face. How you doing, my man? And,
Fucking blood all over his fucking little
yeah.
apron that he's wearing.
Gets his steaks from a fucking place where there's like a direct line from the cow to the
slaughterhouse,
steak.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, instead of this fucking ShopRite, probably some human parts in the steak thing.
I was going to somebody go, oh, you want to get something for lunch? Let's go to like Subway or something. I'm like, why would you not just go to a deli and get a real sandwich made on a hero roll that was in a bakery that morning, and the driver took it over to
a place where they're not going to measure the meat.
So I remember I was
a guy
all pre-cut.
Where the local guy goes, Anthony, you've been a good customer. Here's a few extra slices. The Subway, they actually weigh their meat and their tomatoes to make sure it's the proper weight.
I was in a Subway once somewhere in Arizona. And I was driving across the country, and I stopped. And it was a Subway inside of a fucking Sunoco station. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
and
boy.
there was the fucking kid working there. Was this depressed-looking kid that he cut his own hair like there was chunks. Cut his own hair. Skinny fucking just depressed-looking, pale American. And the kid he's serving is this exact same person.
Oh, shit.
Like he's just different colored version. You know, like in Star Wars, there was R2-D2, but then there'd be like a red version of it.
Yes,
like
the red R2-D2.
Yeah. It's just kind of basic. And one guy, and he's going, what kind of sauce do you want on? And he's like, and like, I guess I'll go ahead and get the green one. And he's making it for him. And I wanted him to say, should I just eat it too? Does it even make a difference which one of us eats it? Like everyone's just on one side of the counter or the other. There's no identity to any American. The only identity you have is what your sauce choice is.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only thing you get now is like, well, I particularly like...
You do make this grim kind of image of, I don't see this going to a good place.
No, it's not, man.
No, it's not, man. No, it's not, man.
The only good thing that could happen is that it all falls.
That it just all collapses.
It all dies, and everyone has to look around them and go, what could I piece together and sell?
Maybe recycle
for my friends.
A little bit, maybe.
Post-apocalyptic lifestyle.
Would be terrific.
We got a timing issue, so we're going to take a break because we got Rummy calling right at 8:30.
Oh, boy.
What happened?
Just Rummy.
Donald Rumsfeld.
Can't wait.
His new book, Known and Unknown, a memoir. So
you think we'll know some of the unknown?
I ain't
Do you think he's going to fess with the unknown?
I'm going to go ahead and tell those Opie and Anthony fellas stuff that I never told anyone.
There's the show I'm going to break all the news on.
More with Louie C.K.
Now's a good time as any to tell them that Gerald Ford is still alive. Why not? Why not these guys?
Why don't we ask him that weird shit then? See what he says.
About Roswell.
Louie's killing this morning, and Louie C.K. is going to be at the Borgata April 23rd. For tickets, go to Borgata.com. Borgart. No, that's not it.
What?
They misspelled the website, right?
That's awesome.
Borgata.
There's no R in the end of Borgata, right?
Borgata.
Google it. No, it's Borgata.com for tickets for Louie C.K.
If you have a computer to go online, right?
Right.
Just Google the fucking thing.
Borgata.
Like, I never
Does anybody need to know the website?
Spell it like really kind of anything you can't spell.
Even
just throw it in.
The browsers finally, you just put it in the URL.
Right.
Someone figured out these fucking people don't get it.
They said, "Hey, dummy, this is how it's really spelled."
Just write it with your finger on the screen. And
right, we'll figure it out.
I don't even use like dictionary.com or like Merriam-Webster. I'll just go to Google, type in the word that I know I'm misspelling, and it says, "Did you mean the correct spelling?"
Now you know the correct.
Now I know.
Yeah.
We don't even need to know
it. You can continue spelling it wrong after that.
You used to have to go to a library and speak to the librarian about that.
That's right.
And she would direct you to a book. That's right.
Libraries used to be kind of cool, too. Man.
Libraries.
In New York, it's very different. It's just that's where homeless people shit now. Library.
Oh, speaking of which, we got the bench story.
Oh, yes.
Right. With the drugs and the sex.
One last thing. Encyclopedias. The house that had the encyclopedias, but then they would become dated so quickly that a few short years later, borders move and people take over power, and you just read these encyclopedias. But that was like your internet.
That
was the only information you were able to get at the drop of a hat was in your encyclopedias in your house. You used to sit there and toil if you didn't know something and couldn't find it out in your house through some kind of book or newspaper. By the way, you didn't know it.
Where this stuff is good is things like the internet, because if you lived in, Oshkosh, Michigan or someplace, you weren't going to get a cool book. You weren't going to get Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, and you weren't going to get an Iggy Pop album.
Right.
You were going to get a Pat Boone album and whatever, and Encyclopedia Britannica. That's it. You had to live on that.
Yeah.
But
now.
hey, you throw on a leather jacket and leave town. Fucking, what's your problem?
Yeah, get off the
You gonna stay in
farm.
your house?
Get off the farm.
Louie, just great social commentary today. Holy shit. You opened my eyes to a bunch of shit. Quick break. Donald Rumsfeld next. Stay there.
Sirius XM. The virus. This is the Opie and Anthony Show. Opie and Anthony Show.
We got to go right to the phone
Oh, my God. Turn that music down.
and welcome Donald Rumsfeld to the Opie and Anthony Show.
Sir? Hello, sir?
Yes, indeed. How are you?
Very good. Very good. What a pleasure to talk to you. Donald Rumsfeld's new book, Known and Unknown, a memoir. I've been looking through this. Fascinating stuff because you have been a part of history in this country for many years, known many presidents. Welcome to the show, Mr. Rumsfeld.
Well, thank you. It's a little embarrassing to discover that I've lived 1/3 of the history of our country.
1/3 the history, and been involved in a lot of things that have gone on through history. Very
Indeed.
important.
I want to mention that all the proceeds that I receive from the book are going to go to the troops and their families.
Oh, that's nice. I thought what you were
That
going to
is
mention was you know exactly where we live and to be nice.
Oh, Opie. It's not. Where are you right now? Are you just at home?
No, I'm in New York City.
Oh, okay.
Last night I was on the Jon Stewart show.
Right. There was a. How did that go? Because John is a little liberal, I would say.
Well, he comes at things from that direction, but he is very smart, very quick.
Yeah.
And it was a good discussion. I was pleased to be there.
Yeah.
Have you ever been interviewed where you got upset with how it went and then actually did anything to exact revenge on the person?
Never.
Why would he do that, Louie?
I don't know.
That's Louis C.K.
Because you know, if you're a man of power, it's got to be an interesting thought at least.
No. What you do is you think to yourself, what might I have done differently? You've got to expect people to come at you because in our wonderful country, everyone can have their own opinion, and goodness knows they can have intense opinions. But I find that if they have intense opinions that are opposite to mine, there's an awful lot of people who have intense opinions that are very much like mine.
Now, you have been in front of a lot of the press over the years, and you've learned how to kind of deflect certain questions and handle the press. So I guess interviews are pretty easy for you?
Well, I enjoy it. I think it's important that people, put their views out there so that we have a competition of ideas and the American people can sift through it and make their own judgments.
Yeah, absolutely. When did you first get inside? And by inside, I mean, the kind of inner circle of power in the government, especially during the Cold War. When did you just go from a military guy into becoming kind of an enigma, kind of a person of power and on the inside? How did that happen?
Well, I don't have any idea. I was a Navy pilot. I knocked on doors, got a job working for a congressman in Washington. I'd never met a congressman. And then I ran for Congress and served during the Kennedy and Johnson era. And then I was in Nixon's cabinet and Ford's cabinet and worked for Reagan as special envoy to the Middle East, and then George W. Bush's cabinet. It just kind of all happened over the decades, and suddenly I'm 78 years old.
But so haven't you, how does it feel to have, you've probably accumulated a lot of things that you know that you'll never tell anybody on the planet Earth, right?
Well, not really. I'm interested in history. I love to read biographies, which is one of the reasons I took 4 years and wrote the book and tried to discuss what it was like being inside and how the decisions are made and how complicated they are when they reach the senior levels of government. I also created a website, rumsfeld.com, where we've put hundreds of documents, thousands of pages from throughout my life so that people can read them and check things in the book. For example, if I quote a paragraph off a memo in the book, you can go to the website and read the whole memo.
Oh, okay.
But you must have lived moments where you were like, holy cow, no one but me and these two people are ever going to know this happened. And it had a massive impact on history.
Well, there certainly are times like that, but over time, almost everything comes out. Mm-hmm. And there are moments when what's going on inside the White House is very sensitive and very private. But within any reasonable period of time, the much of what goes on becomes public, and the American people look at it.
Yeah. Do you look at how do you see your legacy based on your career with George W. Bush? Do you see yourself as a fall guy? Do you see yourself as somebody looked upon as evil? And do you think it affects what you've done before that? Because I see you as a very patriotic guy that served his country well and still does. But some people, based especially on your experience with George W. Bush, see you as an evil guy. How do you accept that?
Well, I know who I am. I know what I've done, and one of the reasons I've wrote the book was to try to get out there what the arguments pro and con were, so people can look at them. And I've taken on tough jobs. I've had to make tough decisions, and when you do that, you can expect people are going to disagree strongly. It doesn't come as a great surprise to me, I suppose, having lived so many decades.
Yeah, were you disappointed, though, with the way your career ended with George W. Bush's administration?
No, I think he made the right decision, and I made the right decision. I think once one of the houses of Congress went to the other party, the next 2 years would have been hearings, and, people would have tried to go after the Bush administration through me, and I decided it would be better for the military, better for the Pentagon, better for the president and the administration if I left, and the president and I were very much in agreement.
But doesn't that kind of leave you hanging out to dry, is what I'm saying, and looking bad, like you did something very wrong?
No, I don't feel that way, and I don't think history will suggest that, and I don't think that serious people interested in what went on, who go to the website and read the book carefully, will feel that way. I think these are complicated issues, and we took on tough jobs. We spent every waking moment trying to protect the American people, and we put in place some structures that, lo and behold, almost a decade later, there's not been another successful attack on America. Now, that's worth something, and I think...
I agree with you. And the book, Known and Unknown, a memoir by Donald Rumsfeld, it's out there. And does this kind of open up who you are as a person? Because I don't think people really know you as a person. They see you and have seen you at press conferences and whatnot, and kind of see you as, a very mysterious guy, and that kind of scares people.
Well, I don't feel mysterious. I think what you see is what you get, and I think that the book, it does open up my life, my family life, my circumstance, where I came from a small town in Illinois, went to college on a scholarship, and was a wrestler and a person who loves the country and is so grateful to have had so many opportunities to serve.
It's interesting, though, because there are people who think, here's a guy who met Eisenhower as a congressman, right?
I was running for Congress, exactly.
And worked for Ford and Nixon and Reagan and both Bushes. And there's still those people out there that think, Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney are actually lizards. Who, literally, there's people that think they're lizards from outer space.
Yeah, that's true.
Who eat human flesh. I don't know if anybody's ever asked you directly, sir, but are you a lizard?
I don't think.
Are you actually? Can you just please give that a straight answer? Are you a lizard person?
Louie's a little left-leaning.
No,
sir.
I'm not. Let him answer. Are you a lizard?
Here's the short answer. Yeah. I'm in New York City. I walk down the street, people walk up, shake hands, stop me, they want an autograph. He's a lizard. Want to get a photograph with me. Go to eat last night at dinner, and Joyce and I were sitting there in the little Italian restaurant, and a man came up and said he'd like to buy my dinner, and I and it turns out I paid for my dinner. The next thing I know, the waiter comes back and said the man insisted to pay for your dinner, and here's your canceled receipt for paying.
Oh, wow, that's very nice.
There's plenty of people that...
You didn't answer the question.
He's not going to dignify...
I think you're hanging around with the wrong people.
He's not going to dignify an answer to, are you a lizard, Louie?
Why not?
Because he's not a lizard.
What is the story about getting somebody paid for your dinner? I would pay for a lizard's dinner.
I think I understood the fact that there are people out out there that appreciate what he's done as a leader? And
there's plenty of evidence that this guy is a well-decorated and appreciated American. And he has more credibility than almost anybody.
Exactly.
But I just want to know if he's a lizard.
He's not a lizard. Stop it. I want to apologize, Mr. Rumsfeld. Louis C.K. is a stand-up comedian, and I do not share his ideology one iota.
Matter of fact, we're meeting him for the first time. We don't even really know him. So we apologize.
Exactly.
It's usually just me and Anthony. But we said, what the hell, we'll try out this local comedy.
Mr. Rumsfeld, I want to ask you a little bit about the situation that's going on now in the Middle East. You were an envoy to the Middle East. What do you see happening there? What's your take on the whole situation?
Well, I think what's happening is that we had good relations with many of the governments in there, in that region, and it was contributing to a stable situation with respect to the generally hostile attitude towards Israel, because an important country like Egypt had a peace treaty with Israel, and that was a valuable thing that Sadat did and Mubarak stuck with. The problem is that those countries did not move towards freer political systems and freer economic systems as rapidly as they should have, and the people are looking for opportunities. Very large populations that are young, and they don't have jobs, and they don't see opportunities, and they look around the world on television or Facebook or something, and they see other countries where people are doing well, and they become dissatisfied. So you have these kinds of turmoil and popular revolutions. Now, the problem is that, take Lebanon, for example, there was a popular revolution.
Yeah, the Hamas wound up.
Hezbollah ended up taking over, and a terrorist organization and repressive.
Right.
The same thing in Iran.
Now, isn't that a worry? Like, especially when you have a revolution, as they did in Egypt, not a revolution, but, protest, whatever you want to call it. The guy's gone. Without having another guy to put in there, isn't there a worry as America as to who's going to be there and what kind of government's going to be in place?
Absolutely. Everyone ought to be concerned, not just our country, but Europe and Israel and the neighboring countries. If the problem is that you can have a popular protest and revolution, and the winner is not the people that are looking for greater opportunity. The winner often is a minority group that is very disciplined, very well organized, and very vicious, like Hezbollah in Lebanon, or like the Ayatollahs in Iran.
Yeah.
So you could get the Muslim Brotherhood.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
Radical extremists.
Exactly.
Over Egypt, which would be terribly dangerous.
Absolutely.
Listen, and these are great questions, Anthony, and they're questions that Mr. Rumsfeld is going to answer better than almost anybody in the world.
Yeah.
But I still want to know if he's a lizard.
And if he is, stop it.
If he's tasted human flesh.
No, stop.
I just want to know.
Mr. Rumsfeld, again, I want to apologize for Louis C.K. He's a stand-up comedian. He's playing at the Borgata.
It's a legitimate. Look, if he's a lizard who has eaten people,
don't encourage him. It'll just make him worse.
See, I will stop the
Mr.
second
Rumsfeld.
I get a denial. I'll stop asking.
Tell Louis that my grandchildren are listening.
See?
Well, listen, they have a right to know, too.
No, he's not a lizard, and he's not tasted human flesh.
But you're answering. That's easy for you to say.
I can answer because I know the guy is a great American, a great patriot.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
He's done great things for this country. And
yes, Anthony. Is he a lizard? Is Dick Cheney a lizard?
No, they're not. They are people.
Any Mexican babies? Have they eaten any human beings?
Stop it. Stop it. I know. Mr. Rumsfeld, I apologize. Louis C.K.
I paid for this microphone, mister.
He's trying
I want
to be
an answer.
Funny. I don't understand it. Where do you see the where do you see the 2012 elections going? Do you see the Republicans taking the White House again? And who do you see as maybe a good front runner for the Republicans?
I don't think there is one. I think it's one of those rare times when there's not an incumbent president running, and there's not a vice president running, and there's not an obvious person. And I think what we ought to do is watch them run around the track a while and see how they handle things. It's a tough job, as President Obama is finding out. It's a lot easier to campaign than
exactly.
And So I think we ought to watch all these candidates. There's some terrific ones running, and I think some of them have executive experience. Some of them have a lot of legislative experience. And see how they handle. Because what's going to happen is they're going to get asked tough questions. They're going to get put in difficult positions. And we're going to then be able to see how their brains work, how they react, how they handle things, what kind of people they recruit for their campaign team, how effective they are in organizing. And all of those are attributes that are helpful for a president.
Before the Lizard Council meets
all right,
and decides who to appoint.
The Lizard Council doesn't appoint a president, and he's not part of the Lizard Council.
If they do, don't you want to know?
No.
Don't you at least want to give him a chance to say, no, I'm not a lizard?
I don't want to picture Donald Rumsfeld on the other end of this phone listening to you asking
with red lizard
questions.
eyes.
No, he's not with Mr. Rumsfeld. Again, with 2012 elections, wouldn't it be good to, and I always wonder why this doesn't happen sooner, to start really grooming a good candidate now? They always seem, the Republicans always seem to wait till the last minute to really kind of get together and get a candidate there, a viable candidate that could take on a Democrat, especially an incumbent.
Well, I think that's true of both political parties. If you think back to the Democratic primary that Mr. Obama won, and I think the reason for that is there's no senior council of leading Democrats or leading Republicans who can go into a smoke-filled room and start grooming somebody. It's the American people and the parties, the people of each party that end up picking these candidates.
But it does seem like it would be a lot more advantageous, especially for the party, if they would kind of work together instead of everybody trying to get their piece of the presidency, to just work together and get a candidate, a viable candidate to run that would really have a shot at winning.
Well, and of course, a primary process can produce a mistake, and you could end up with a candidate who's not very good.
Exactly, and I don't think we want to see that. I definitely don't want to see another 4 years of Barack Obama.
No, I know.
That's for sure.
Incumbents, often get reelected, and I think the Republicans are going to have to be careful not to overreach and to manage their affairs in a way that are responsible, and yet address what the American people really care about. And my goodness, this administration has served up a number of targets. How anyone can think that the budget President Obama put forward is responsible is beyond me.
Yeah.
The debt in this country is crushing, and it's going to damage this generation and future generations unless people have the courage to step up and deal with it.
What was it like when you met? There's a picture of you shaking hands with Saddam Hussein. Like, what was that day like? The day you met that dude.
Oh, that famous picture.
The dude who later was hung in a badly lit room.
I tried to tell Louie that was indeed during the time when he was
I'm just curious what that day was like.
And was, okay.
I'm just curious, what was that like to meet that fella?
Fair enough.
Well, it was. I was in Baghdad at the request of President Reagan, and I kind of described this in my book. I met the night before with Tariq Assis, the deputy prime minister, and then the next morning I was invited in to be with Saddam Hussein. And the reason that Secretary Shultz and President Reagan and I all agreed that it made sense was Saddam Hussein was in a war with Iran and had taken our embassy people hostage and was very hostile to the United States. The United States did not have diplomatic relations with Iraq, and the thought was that we, the old adage, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right.
And how did we manage to get crossways with the two big countries in that region, both of them? And yet they were hostile to each other.
Right.
So we felt that it was a good idea to see if we could reestablish relations, and that ultimately was done shortly after my visit. Now, what was it like? You walk in, there's a Middle Eastern despot. Is he a good guy or a Democrat? No. He's a thug. And he's in fatigues, and he's got a pistol on his hip, and he's a tough guy and not a good guy. On the other hand, people in Iran were worse. And when you get up in the morning and look around the world, there are not a lot of George Washingtons or Abraham Lincolns. We have to deal with people who aren't perfect on occasion.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to tell Louie.
And then, so how many guys do you think you've met that died by hanging?
Oh, Jesus.
That's a good question.
Yeah, more than one.
Yeah.
More than one.
More than one. See,
Yeah. I've never met anybody who. I met a girl who hung herself. But I never met anybody who was sentenced to hanging.
He's had to deal with thugs during his career at some point.
Sure.
He's, the world. And a lot of people judge things, I've noticed, Mr. Rumsfeld, a lot of people judge things based on what's going on now. They don't take it in the context of the history and what was going on at the time. Now, during the Cold War, I think we were willing, as Americans and the press, to accept a lot more covert action on the part of the government for our own safety than we are now. Do you think that's a better thing, that there's so much more information available now? Or is it a kind of a good thing for the government to have maybe a little bit of a little more covertness in their actions?
Oh, I think you're right. I think that we live in a world where there are relatively few countries that are like we are.
Mm-hmm.
We have free political systems, and that means that we have got to have intelligence gathering activities if we're going to protect the American people.
Exactly.
But American safety is like the biggest deal to us. American defense. We've got to keep the American people safe. But what if a whole lot of people in other places have to die in order for us to be safe? Like, what if you found out that a lot of America was going to get hurt unless we just took France and just wiped it out? Would you trade France?
Hypothetical.
Would you trade France for Texas and Arizona?
Can you imagine if I answered that question?
Thank you.
What the news lead would be?
Exactly.
It would be like the answering your earlier question, where I would deny that I'm something that you asked me.
Right. He's not going to deny he's a lizard.
But he hasn't officially denied it.
What would be hurt by denying that you're a lizard?
I did not just arrive in town falling off a turnip.
There are no turnip carts in New York City.
Well, he didn't fall off of one.
No,
regardless.
I totally understand. But no, that's fascinating to me. What would be hurt by denying? And I'm not going to ask you to deny it now. I'm more interested in what would be hurt if you denied that you're a lizard.
He's justifying the question.
Sorry I brought it up. I apologize.
No.
But I mean, we like to think that we're a comedy show, so we're just kind of asking a silly question.
But that is fascinating to me, that saying I am not a lizard might be dangerous. I want to know how it might hurt. Wait, how would it hurt your credibility?
This happened.
How did this happen?
There's a guy laughing in the background that is looking up our addresses now.
Mr. Rumsfeld, notice that Anthony Cumia is
a true patriot.
I am right behind you. I love your book, Donald Rumsfeld, Known and Unknown Memoir, in bookstores now. This thing really flying off the shelves too.
I want to ask Mr. Rumsfeld his opinion on the unions right now. That's a big topic out there.
Well, it is, and what we've got is a government, an administration that, according to the data, has fewer people who've ever been in business than any administration in modern history. And what you've got is a lot of people who are lawyers and professional government people, and they don't have the business background. They have very close connections to the unions, and I'm terribly worried about the way that our trade relations are going around the country. The president and the administration have been responding to pressure from the unions with respect to the trade deal with South Korea, the trade agreement with Colombia. Here's Colombia, an important country in our hemisphere, and we've been stiffing them, we're missing what's going on in the world. Mm-hmm. In Asia, there are all kinds of trade agreements, and the United States is absent without leave. We're not engaged and doing it. Mm-hmm. And I think the answer is it's because of the unions. And we're at a first point in our country's history where there are more union members who are government employees than there are who are in the private sector.
That's a conflict, if you ask me.
Well, it's a worry.
Yeah.
And I think it's also not surprising, then, to note that the average pay of government employees is now higher than in the private sector.
That's not right.
And of course,
why is that not right?
Because it should be the other way around.
Well, of course,
teachers are government employees, right?
And the jobs and the products and the opportunities are all in the private sector, not in government.
Right.
But a teacher is a public employee, right? Is a unionized public employee.
Yes.
So they should be paid well, right?
But it's not a matter of being paid well.
But they should have the power to get together and bargain for better pay and better benefits, right?
Well, if you look around at the school systems, they are in trouble, and they're not providing the kind of education for kids So the system isn't working perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
My wife Joyce started the Chicago Foundation for Education because the Chicago school system was described as the worst school system in America 25 years ago.
Wow.
And here's a great city, a wonderful city, and it had a school system that the Secretary of Education labeled the worst. Now, why is that? It isn't because people are bad. It's because the process isn't working. There wasn't any choice. People didn't have a choice. They paid their taxes, and they had to go to school in their neighborhood, and they didn't have choice. I'm a Milton Friedman fan. I think giving school vouchers so that parents and kids can make those choices, and pretty soon the schools that nobody wants to choose have to disappear, and the schools where people want to go succeed because they get a good education, they prosper.
Yeah, but American public schools used to be great, and now they're not. So for years and years, they did well without vouchers and charter schools, and then all of a sudden, money got taken out of those systems, and now they're suffering. And then the people that took the money out point at the system and go, "Ha ha, you suck because I took your money away." So now we're gonna. So what happened? Why did they work before?
I don't think that's the case. What you just said. I don't think that the reason the schools are not doing well today is because the money's not there. I think that you look at the average price that we're paying per student or per school, and it's quite high. It just isn't producing the kind of results that a more competitive system would.
Mm-hmm.
How come it worked before, though? When it was simpler, most people went to public schools, and you could just go walk down your public school and get a great education. Like, how come there's a decline when it was working without the competition?
I think probably it was a result of the fact that we were more of a rural country. We had much more parental involvement. There was more smaller elements, and then as we became more of an urbanized country, there was more distance between parents and the schools, more distance between government in the schools, and they just deteriorate.
And teaching the basics of what people need to know instead of a lot of political correct gibberish.
Really? You think
that
that's
are in the schools now? I believe that, Louie.
Is teaching evolution? That's what hurt the schools?
No, I'm not saying that. I just think that there's a lot going on in schools that has nothing to do with educating the students and preparing them for life.
I could be wrong, but I think there might have been one other thing. You know, for years we had the draft. And we excluded people from the draft who were students, teachers, or married. And as a result, people who did not want to serve in the military kind of gravitated to getting married or becoming a teacher or becoming a student. And so over time you had a bifurcation of a generation. And that group is now just about retiring.
Right.
The all-volunteer military came in under the Nixon administration in the late 1960s and early 1970s. And so all of those people that up to 1970 now, of course, would be 30, 40 years later. So if they became teachers in the ages of 20, 25, 30, they'd now be retiring.
Yeah.
Hey, did he answer the question about unions? Are you for or against the unions, sir?
What do you mean? I've got no problem with unions. Yeah. What I have a problem with is if unions end up exerting an undue influence in what's taking place in our country and stopping the United States of America from participating in free trade agreements around the world, which are the kinds of things that help to create jobs.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
But if the jobs are in other places and if the United States is getting to compete, who is the United States at that point? Is it General Electric and Walmart, or is it actual people who live in these places like Wisconsin who are asking to be able to sue for their own rights as a union?
Well, if the governor up there, I'm not knowledgeable about Wisconsin. I'm from New Mexico, as the cover of my book shows.
No, you got a polar fleece on.
A handsome picture.
But my recollection is that the governor ran on a platform of doing exactly what he's doing, addressing the fact that the state is bankrupt. And how does he fix that? Well, he can't fix it if the unions won't let him. And he's going to have to find a way to put that state on an upward path rather than allowing it continue to go down, spending more than they take in.
Exactly.
And if the unions are going to try to prevent that, he has to do something about that.
I got an observation. You sound just like Dr. Demento.
What?
Dr. Demento.
Someone's going to appreciate that out there.
Why, somebody
The Funny
thinks-
Five.
The guy used to do the funny radio thing.
Yes, you got the exact same voice.
Well, he's got a
sorry.
very distinctive voice. I know you could always tell Donald Rumsfeld when he was on TV,
right.
Even from the other room. You have a very strong, distinct voice. I have a couple of questions just out of curiosity I want to ask
just
you.
an observation.
Mr. Rumsfeld, what type of aircraft did you fly?
I was flying, the last plane I flew was an S-2F, which was a Grumman anti-submarine plane.
Oh, that's cool.
Did you have more capability to fly it because of your lizard reflexes?
Stop it.
I've got a thought for you.
Okay, good.
Folks are looking for a present for friends of yours. I spent 8 days recording the unabridged version of my book.
Oh.
About 8 hours a day. And if you want to hear the voice...
And the voice, right.
What you do is you buy the unabridged version of the book, and then you can play it in your car when you're going to and from work, and I'll be right there with you.
I think you need that, Louie.
I'll be right there with you.
You absolutely do. I want to ask you one more thing, because I know you got to go soon. I'm a very, very strong advocate of the Second Amendment. I'm a lifetime member of the NRA. Are you a member of the NRA?
I'm not sure if I am right now. I have been, and I think I am.
And are you an avid shooter? Because I am, and I love it.
I have guns. I have rifles and shotguns and pistols and at various locations, and I'm an elk hunter out in New Mexico.
So you're a strong advocate of the Second Amendment, as I am, sir?
Have you ever shot a person?
No.
That's a great question.
I think everybody should be asked that.
No, have you shot
Have you ever
a person?
shot some? He was the Secretary
terrible.
of Defense. He was in charge of everybody that America killed for a very long time.
Oh, stop it.
I've been shot at. Does that count?
He's been shot at. That's crazy.
Right next to President Ford when the bullet went right by his head and right by my head into the hotel in San Francisco.
Wow. Yeah. That was that crazy.
Were you ever shot at with any other, besides bullets, like plasma rays or anything else that are used
space
to take down?
Would you stop it, Louie?
Flesh-eating space lizards.
My God, man.
Who eat the poor.
Donald Rumsfeld, Known and Unknown, a memoir. I suggest anybody that's interested in the history of this fine country and the history of a patriot and this fine man, go out and buy this book. Thank you, Donald Rumsfeld. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoy being with you.
I'm pretty sure you're a
Thanks,
lizard.
sir. He's not a lizard. Stop it.
Thank
you,
he
sir.
ate people once.
You should select your partners carefully.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying, sir.
Come see me at the Borgata in Atlantic City on April 23rd. It's almost sold out.
Just a local comic, sir, that we really don't know much about.
Yeah, I don't know.
He'll be gone tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Donald Rumsfeld, everyone.
There he is. Donald Rumsfeld. Quick, hang up the phone. Oh, my God. Oh, my dear sweet Jesus.
I can't believe you didn't let him answer.
Why did you keep... Because he wasn't ever going to answer.
Why not just
say I'm not a lizard?
Hear his not answering. At least hear the silence of not answering.
He said I wouldn't answer that because
I didn't get to hear because you kept talking with other questions over him not answering.
I'm not going to sit there and listen to the former Secretary of Defense try to defend that he's not a lizard. Why wouldn't you?
Why?
Because
why wouldn't you want to live that moment?
Because first of all, he's not a lizard.
Why do you want to be baby CNN instead of the only show that finally got the guy to say, okay, look, I'm going to finally say something about this lizard shit. I'm tired of hearing it. I'm not a lizard per se.
No, he said he wasn't going to dignify it. He said if he said yes or no.
That could have been a recording. It could have been a dude playing like those prank calls.
No, it was Donald Rumsfeld.
But the thing got interesting when we asked him if he was lizard. It put a hitch in his giddy up.
You know what? He handled it like a gentleman and like a professional.
He handled it like a lizard who knows how to never answer.
No, he said, I'm not going to answer.
Did you hear at one point, and I wish you'd almost play it back, the first time I asked it and he told that fucking psychotic story about some guy buying him dinner? And then he said, you're messing with the wrong people. He said that. Go back and play it. And then he bought me dinner. You're messing with the wrong people. And then I swear to God, he said it.
See,
Go find that and play it back.
but it was because he was saying how people do find him fine and a great
So what is that?
person
Why
and-
does that mean
Because-
I'm messing with the wrong people? Unless he's
I
trying to
don't know
tell
what
me
kind of
that
subliminal
I'm not
thing-
going to make it home tonight.
Maybe he was throwing a subliminal thing out like you threw a subliminal lizard out in the middle of his discussion.
It was not subliminal. It was quite direct. I paid him respect. I said, you totally are this guy who's done these amazing things. I just want to know if you and Dick Cheney are lizards. When you ask
also
somebody
if he ate human flesh, you asked if he ate
Yeah, I
human
did.
flesh, and
Yeah, I
that is
did.
not a question for the Secretary
did.
of Defense.
Well, I just
look, if he has eaten human flesh, we better find out. If he
You
is a lizard,
asked-
we better
you
know because he's
asked him
coming back.
If he ate Mexican babies, you asked Donald Rumsfeld if he ate Mexican babies.
If I was in his position, I would be I'd be happy for the opportunity to acquit myself on that
Come on,
on that issue.
the guy doesn't have to.
What the fuck is it hurt a person to say no? I am not a lizard. No,
Because
I haven't
then-
eaten a Mexican baby.
Because then somebody in the press can write, when asked if he was a lizard,
Yeah.
Donald Rumsfeld
told
replied,
a story about the guy buying him dinner. What the fuck kind of a denial is that?
It's not.
What the fuck kind of denial is that?
No one would buy dinner for a lizard in a restaurant.
I believe
he
that
was
the-
saying
that
he was
the
answering you
lizard-
through a story.
I believe that the space lizard baby eaters
He's not a space
who
lizard.
he and Dick Cheney are have some weird thing where they can't lie about it.
listen.
Where if asked directly, they have to say yes.
Oh, you think that's a
They can either not answer or they can't say, or they have to say yes.
So
they say, do anything. Tell a story about someone buying you dinner.
So you're saying that there's something ingrained
Yes.
in the lizardness that keeps him from saying,
Just saying, no, of course not.
They can't do that.
Can't
or-
do it. His lizard head comes off and the red eyes come out.
In honor of Louis C.K., I just tweeted, answer the question, are you a lizard? Hashtag, are you a lizard? Louis C.K. wants to know. Pass it along.
I really want to know.
I can't
I just
wait.
want an answer, and I really was fascinated that he said, "Can you imagine what would happen if I answered?"
Exactly.
By the way,
Could you imagine?
I asked him if we could wipe out France to save Arizona and Texas. Would we do it? And he
He's not
said,
gonna
"He's
answer.
why wouldn't you answer?"
Why would you?
'Cause the
As
answer-
Donald Rumsfeld, why would you answer that?
Because he may if he can't answer the question, that means he's had to weigh that, and he may have to do it. And he may have to do it. The fact that he can't answer that on the same level plane as can't answer that he's not a lizard means that they're both viable questions.
No, they are not.
Yeah.
Roland, do we survive?
I can't wait till Louie gets home, and it's going to be dark, and he'll unlock his door, shut it, and someone will go, leave the light off, Louie.
Well, his guy asked
leave
me for
the light
Louie's
off.
email address.
Yes,
Did he really?
yes.
No.
Really, Donald Rumsfeld?
Leave the light off.
Let me say hi to Brian in Pennsylvania. Brian.
Fellas, that was Radio Gold. That was a fantastic interview. And do you realize that you had one of the major chess pieces in world history? I mean, the last 10 years has influenced all of us as Americans. As a
Exactly.
No, absolutely.
country. Just interviewed. And you know what was even classic was that you can tell how much Louis C.K. is a fucking comedian. This guy could not keep a straight. He couldn't do a straight question.
I couldn't stop laughing. You know what? I
were
was
laughing.
laughing because I was a little scared to be saying it. Like I was laughing nervously.
I was cracking up because Travis Teft, by the way, Travis was popping up pictures of Donald Rumsfeld at the
As a
podium
lizard.
with a big lizard head, like a suit, a tie, and a lizard
Yes.
head. And I was laughing. I couldn't look at the screen because I was laughing.
Look,
too
we all
hard.
know Danny Ross sits in this.
It was a perfect interview because he's not going to answer really, really tough questions. So Louis kept it nice with the lizard thing.
I think it was fascinating to talk
You certainly asked
to Donald
the right
Rumsfeld.
questions.
I wanted to keep.
I like that I got a direct answer to how many people have you met that died by hanging?
Yeah, there were quite
and
a
he
few.
said more than one.
More than one.
Very casual.
That was
more than one.
That was
Right,
yeah. Well, Saddam is a biggie. Maybe Chemical Ali.
Yeah.
You might have met him at some
Might have met
point.
him.
At one point, someone in the background was laughing. One of his people.
Oh,
so-
one of his people started laughing. You
We got,
heard him, like,
we
laughing
got
in
the lizard
background.
comment. I got to hear it again.
Oh,
You
no.
got that? Yeah.
Oh, no.
E-Rock.
Oh, no.
Here we go.
Yeah, play. This is the answer with the dinner thing. All right, play it until he says you mess with the wrong people. I want to hear that context. Go ahead.
The whole thing is a minute and a half.
All right.
That's fine. Where are we going?
It's interesting, though, because there are people who think, I mean, here's a guy who, met Eisenhower as a congressman, right?
I was running for Congress, exactly.
And worked for Ford and Nixon and Reagan and both Bushes. And there's still those people out there that think, Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney are actually lizards. Who, I mean, literally, there's people that think they're lizards from outer space.
Yeah, that's true.
Who eat human flesh. I don't know if anybody's ever asked you directly, sir, but are you a lizard?
I don't think.
Are you actually? Can you just please give that a straight answer? Are you a lizard person?
Louie's a little left-leaning.
No,
sir.
I'm not.
I'm deflecting.
Let him answer. Are you a lizard?
Here's the short answer. Yeah. I'm in New York City. I walk down the street. People walk up, shake hands, stop me. They want an autograph.
They wouldn't do this to Lizard.
Go to eat last night at dinner, and Joyce and I were sitting there in the little Italian restaurant. and a man came up and said he'd like to buy my dinner, and I refused. And it turns out I paid for my dinner. The next thing I know, the waiter comes back and said the man insisted to pay for your dinner, and here's your canceled receipt for paying.
Oh, wow, that's
See, there's plenty of people that...
But you didn't answer the question.
He's not going to dignify...
I think you're hanging around with the wrong people.
He's not going to dignify an answer to, are you a lizard?
Stop it there. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
He was asked if he was a lizard from space who eats human flesh.
Right.
His answer was, the short answer is, I was walking in New York City last night. We went to a little Italian restaurant. Me and Joyce had a nice dinner. A fellow wanted to pay for our dinner. Turns out we'd already paid for our dinner. Next thing I know, the waiter gives us a canceled check, says, it's on the house. I think you're messing with the wrong people. That was his answer verbatim. That was his answer verbatim.
I think he said, you're hanging around with the wrong people.
Play just that last quote again.
Okay. You didn't answer the question.
He's not going to
I think you're
dignify...
hanging around with the wrong people.
Well, even what the fuck does that even mean?
He meant that we shouldn't be hanging with you.
Oh, is that it?
Yes.
You're so dead,
Somebody
Louie.
bought me dinner last night. You're hanging around with the wrong people.
It's still bad for you because he basically told us we shouldn't be hanging with you.
You're so dead, Louie.
Because unless you want to be collateral damage.
You know what? You know what I say? Go see Louis C.K. at the Borgata.
I don't think he makes it to April 23rd.
April 23rd. You know
Come watch me be assassinated live like Malcolm X. Come watch a fucking patsy whose kid is in a cellar being beaten.
A patsy.
Shoot me in the fucking head in front of the Atlantic City fucking half-awake gamblers.
They're going to walk you through the kitchen like Bobby.
In front of a bunch of comped Chinese guys
just gonna
flew in on jets.
Your head's going to vaporize.
Yeah.
The point is still
lizard.
See, the reason why I asked
said
him, because
you're
when I
hanging with the wrong
watched
people.
Rumsfeld, is that when I saw him do those press conferences, I always thought if somebody asked him something like that, are you a lizard that eats human flesh? He'd go, yes, I am. Next question. And it would be like, now we know, but who cares? They have too much power for anybody to do anything. He's an unelected official. He's a dangerous man. He never has been. He ran for Congress once. Otherwise, he's never been fucking
dangerous people that have been elected. He was.
Sure.
He's a great man.
Sure.
Yeah.
Donald Rumsfeld, great man. That's what I say. That's my take on
look
him.
at his fucking face.
He's a handsome man.
That is an easy mask to zip on and off.
Look
If I've
at the
ever seen one.
He's not zipping it. You think he's zipping it over his lizard head?
Every few years they update it so he ages. They got a guy that they fucking took hostage from Lucasfilm, from the Lucas Ranch.
Industrial Lights and Magic.
Yeah.
When does he go back to
ages him.
being a lizard?
What's that?
When does he just go back to being a
And
lizard?
he goes home. He's probably fucking sitting there as a lizard talking to us right now. On the phone. I am not going to answer that question.
Do you think he's just
sitting there as a lizard with his little fucking green legs crossed?
Because he didn't have to be in public today.
That's right.
And his tail?
The guy laughing, if you probably play it back, you'll hear a lizard. He left. The guy in the background. Yeah, he's playing with his tail. Whatever lizards do when they're
twirling
on the phone.
his tail on the phone, not even answering your
I'm
question.
not going to answer that. Get his phone.
He's not a lizard. You are so
You're hanging
dead.
around with the wrong people.
hanging around with the wrong people.
What kind of fucking answer was that? I don't understand it.
Here's the short
It's almost
answer.
like if you ask a computer a question that gets underneath its program, and it comes back gibberish.
It doesn't know what it is.
Like, that's how to find out somebody's a robot. You're talking to them, and all of a sudden you say to them, like, lemonade dog sauce, and they go, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12. That's what that was like.
That's how Kirk used to get the androids all the time.
I'm telling you what happened. I'm going to tell you what happened.
All right.
He is a lizard who presses these buttons to answer questions. Like, he's got a bodysuit that goes on when he does press conferences that he runs ergonomically.
Okay.
But when he's a lizard with his body off, he can't talk, so he just uses this button.
It's like a soundboard.
Like your fucking
like
soundboard.
a sound machine or something.
Yeah, like...
No shit.
Yeah, that kind of... He's got a Rumsfeld loaded one of those.
Okay.
And I said, "Are you a lizard?" And he went, "Oh, fuck." And he fumbled and he hit the tell the story about dinner button. He tell the story, that nice story button.
Like when we hit the wrong effect sometimes.
He has a button. He had that loaded for, like, have you enjoyed your time in New York?
Yeah. So what have you been doing in New York?
Are you a lizard that eats flesh? Oh, fuck. Well, I went to a dinner. Shit.
Here's a short of it. I was, and he's like, I can't just stop it now.
No, he has to listen.
I
can't stop it.
I gotta let it roll. Yes. So, let the whole dinner story.
That's what happened, I'm telling you.
Oh, fuck, Louie. God damn, man.
That was one for the ages right there.
He's not a lizard, I don't think. Be careful if he is.
Be careful what you eat in the coming days there, Lo.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to get
careful.
some fucking rice stuck in your side.
I'm going to only eat figs like Caesar Augustus. Fucking lived on figs till his wife painted poison on him.
We should take a break, I guess.
Yeah,
what do you want to
please. Let's take a break.
And certainly getting props on the interview there.
Oh, it was a lot
nice
of fun talking. Well, I had to be the straight man.
Actually,
someone had to keep him on the fucking phone.
No, it is pretty artful how you're able to keep him on the phone after those questions.
Blurt out another question, and you heard me going like da 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 da. All I'm trying to think of is anything I could ask him.
Wasn't Reagan nice?
What kind of airplane did you fly? Christ, man.